Rich jockeys laughed at a black beggar. He tamed the wild horse and won $1.2 million. The laughter came first, sharp, loud, cutting through the humid afternoon air like a whip crack. It echoed across the private training grounds of Silver Crest stables, where polished boots, tailored jackets, and million-dollar horses defined worth. Where men were measured by bloodlines, not character. And where, on that day, a man no one saw coming stepped through the gates. He didn't belong there. That much was obvious. His clothes were worn thin, his shoes scuffed to the point of surrender, and his coat, once black, had faded into a tired gray. Dust clung to him like it knew it had nowhere else to go. But his eyes, they didn't match the rest of him. They were steady, focused, quietly observing everything. "Hey," one of the jockeys called out, barely hiding a smirk. "Lost, buddy." More laughter followed. The man stopped walking but didn't respond immediately. He simply looked around, at the horses, the trainers, the polished saddles, the gleaming fences. His gaze lingered on each animal just a second longer than expected, as if he wasn't seeing their appearance, but something deeper. "I'm looking for work," he said finally. Another jockey scoffed. "Work? Here?" "Yeah," another chimed in. "We don't need stable cleaners today." "I don't mind cleaning," the man replied calmly. "Oh, I bet you don't." The group chuckled again, but their amusement wasn't just about him. It was about what he represented, someone outside their world daring to step inside it. One of the senior trainers, a man named Collins, approached with a frown. "We're not hiring," he said flatly. "Try the public barns down the road." The man nodded slowly. "I will. But before I go," his eyes drifted past Collins, toward the far paddock. "That horse. The one in the back." Collins followed his gaze, and stiffened. A massive black stallion paced inside a reinforced enclosure, muscles coiled like tension-made flesh. The horse snorted violently, kicking up dirt, its eyes wild and untrusting. "That's Thunder King," Collins said. "And he's not your concern." The man took a step closer to the fence. "Sir," Collins warned, sharper now. "He's scared," the man said softly. The laughter returned, louder this time. "Scared," one jockey repeated. "That thing's a demon. Threw 3 riders last week. Cost more than your entire life," another added. But the man didn't react to them. "He's not angry," he continued. "He's confused." Now even Collins was annoyed. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but that horse has been trained by the best. No one's been able to control him." The man turned, meeting Collins' eyes. "What's his real name?" he asked. Collins blinked. "What? That's not the name he was born with." For a moment, something flickered across Collins' face. Surprise. Maybe even uncertainty. Before he could answer, one of the jockeys laughed again. "This guy's crazy." "Yeah," another said. "Next he'll say he can ride it." The man looked back at the horse. "I can," he said. Silence fell. Then, explosion. The laughter this time was uncontrollable. Jockeys bent over, slapping their knees, wiping tears from their eyes. "You," one gasped. "Ride Thunder King." "With what saddle?" another added. "Your imagination." Even Collins couldn't help a short, disbelieving laugh. But the man didn't smile. "Give me one chance," he said quietly. Collins shook his head. "Absolutely not. That horse is dangerous. We're preparing him for a private auction next month. He's worth $1.2 million, the man finished. Now Collins stared. "How did you?" "You're not selling a horse," the man said. "You're selling fear dressed as power." The words hung in the air, heavy and uncomfortable. "You've tried breaking him," the man continued. "But you can't break something that was never meant to be broken." Collins' expression hardened. "This conversation is over." But one of the younger jockeys stepped forward, a grin spreading across his face. "Wait," he said. "Let him try." "Don't be ridiculous," Collins snapped. "Come on," the jockey pressed. "What's the worst that happens? He gets thrown off in 5 seconds. Might be entertaining." A few others nodded, their amusement returning. "Yeah, let him," someone said. "Free show." Collins hesitated. He knew it was a bad idea. But he also knew something else. Thunder King had become a problem. No buyer would pay full price for a horse no one could ride. If, by some miracle, this stranger managed even a few seconds. 5 minutes, Collins said finally. That's all you get. The man nodded once. That's all I need. The gates creaked open. Every eye in the stable was now fixed on the paddock. The man stepped inside slowly, carefully closing the gate behind him. Thunder King immediately noticed. The stallion's head snapped toward him, nostrils flaring. A low, threatening snort rumbled through its chest. "Here we go," someone whispered. "Place your bets," another joked. The man didn't move closer right away. He just stood there, waiting, watching, breathing. The horse pawed at the ground, circling slightly, testing him. But the man didn't flinch, didn't rush, didn't challenge. Minutes passed. The laughter faded. Something shifted. Instead of charging, Thunder King slowed. Its ears flicked. Its stance softened. Just a little. "What's he doing?" one jockey murmured. "I don't know." The man took one step forward. Then stopped. Then another. Each movement was deliberate, measured, not forcing, not demanding. The horse watched him. Then, unexpectedly, it stopped pacing. Completely. A hush fell over the crowd. "No way," someone whispered. The man raised his hand slowly, not to grab, not to control, but to offer. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Thunder King lowered its head. Just slightly. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. "Impossible." The man stepped closer, his voice barely audible. "I know," he murmured. "They didn't listen, did they?" The horse exhaled. A deep, heavy breath. And then, it didn't move away. The man placed his hand on its neck. No resistance. No fight. Just stillness. Pure, fragile stillness. Tears unexpectedly welled in the eyes of one of the stable hands. "I've never seen that," he whispered. The man closed his eyes briefly, resting his forehead against the horse. "You remember," he said softly. Collins stepped closer to the fence, stunned. "What is he doing?" someone asked. "He's not taming him," another replied quietly. "He's talking to him." Minutes later, the man did something no one expected. He climbed onto the horse. No saddle, no reins, just trust. The crowd held its breath. Thunder King shifted slightly. Then, nothing. No bucking, no rage, no chaos. Just calm. And then, slowly, the horse began to walk. Then trot. Then run. Not wildly, but smoothly. Powerfully. Gracefully. As if it had been waiting its whole life for this moment. The man leaned forward slightly, moving with the horse, not against it. They weren't fighting each other. They were moving as one. Silence turned into awe. That's unreal," a jockey whispered. Collins couldn't speak. He just watched. Because everything he thought he knew about control, about strength, about value, was unraveling right in front of him. When the man finally guided the horse back and dismounted, the entire stable stood frozen. No laughter, no smirks, just stunned silence. Collins walked up slowly. "Who are you?" he asked. The man looked at the horse, gently brushing its mane. "Someone who used to listen," he said. Collins frowned. "Used to?" The man nodded. "Before I forgot how." There was a pause. Then Collins said, "The auction is tomorrow. If you ride him like that in front of the buyers." "I'm not here for money," the man interrupted. Collins blinked. "Then why are you here?" The man looked around. The polished stables, the expensive gear, the people who had laughed. Then back at the horse. "Because he deserves better." Collins hesitated, then said quietly, "You could walk away with $1.2 million. The man smiled faintly. Money didn't teach him to trust again, he said. The next day, the crowd was bigger. Wealthy buyers, investors, spectators, all waiting to see the infamous Thunder King. Whispers filled the air. Still unwritable, worth the risk. Then the man stepped into the arena. Murmurs spread. "That's him. No way." But when Thunder King entered, everything changed. The horse moved differently now. Calm, focused, strong, but not wild. The man mounted him effortlessly. And what followed wasn't just a ride, it was a story. Every movement spoke of patience, pain, healing. The crowd watched in silence, then in wonder. And when it ended, the applause was deafening. Bids soared, numbers climbed, until finally, sold, for $1.2 million. But as the crowd celebrated, the man stepped down quietly. He walked to the horse one last time. placed his hand gently on its face, and whispered something no one else could hear. Then he turned and walked away. No announcement, no celebration, no claim to the money. Just a man leaving the same way he arrived. Quietly. But this time, no one laughed.